They think that I'm all by myself in this fight, but they do not know the infinite size of the God who is by my side.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Lost and Found Podcast. We are back at it again. We are on episode 8.
Crazy, man.
Episode 8. A long way, but yeah, I'm super excited for what we got planned for today. But I mean, it's been a couple of crazy days.
Yeah.
Working on the behind the scenes for the Lost and Found Podcast. We got something cool lined up for you guys. We were planning out for 2025. That's another big thing that we did as well. But
I mean, yeah, this is a pretty good season, right?
yeah,
Festivals, Thanksgiving, Christmas.
yeah.
You know, you had exams, right?
Yeah, I had some exams. Just my mindset was just like I'm like the last couple weeks I've just been grinding, bro. Just like really focusing, trying to get everything done because now I'm on break, so I know I can relax. So just really focusing on that for sure.
Yeah. There's there's school, there's work, and then there's family, like you were saying, on top of everything from Thanksgiving through the rest of the holidays, and it's still going on right now as we, we're coming up on Christmas and eventually going into the New Year here. Yeah. So that's not going to stop, even if we get a break from school and other things.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to lose a couple extra Thanksgiving belly pounds.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it looks like it.
listen, yo, we're cutting that out, bro.
No, we keeping that.
You leave it at
But no, yeah, I was in the same boat as you guys, like studying for exams and stuff like that. But speaking of exams and finals, our topic for today is about what goes on when you're burned out. And I feel like it fits really well, especially during this season, because we have so many things going on. Like Charlie, like what you said, like, you have your family, your school, your work. It's just everything piled up all at once. And I'm sure, we even talked about this beforehand where everyone experienced burned out, right? It's nothing like new. Everyone experienced it. And so we want to share our testimony and how we've overcome it. Me personally, I'm still trying to balance that out, but I'm excited to hear what you guys all have to say as well.
Yeah, like burnt out is like that state of that emotional, physical, mental, like exhaustion when you're at that point when everything feels like, it's like the end of the world, right? Mm-hmm. Like you don't have anything left and you like, you're just done. So that's like a state where that's a state of exhaustion that you feel whenever you're burnt out. And, it's so common when you're trying to manage so many things in your life. You're trying to, be, up there in your class, right? You're trying to get a good grade. You're trying to make the most money. You're trying to, be, even spiritually, right? You're trying to be up there, trying to do your best for God. You're hoping that you're standing up to God's expectations, right? So all of that adds up so quick. And it's not even same as stress, because in stress you can see the end of the tunnel. You can see like, all right, so I have my finals this week. Next week I'm gonna be in vacation or something.
Like, your deadline.
Yeah, your deadline, right?
Yeah.
Like it's gonna end. I'm gonna end the stress in a week or 2 weeks, right? But being burnt out is like, you don't see an end. It's always like, this is the end of me.
It's like you've passed. If you've reached what you thought was your limit, and then went past it by a mile. Mm-hmm. Like you've overworked yourself to the point of, like you were saying, exhaustion, right? It's like you got to that point of being a dead horse like 2.5 weeks ago, right? It is that level, where some people think, I don't even want to do this anymore. I just want to quit, whether it's like school. I don't even want to do school anymore. I don't even want to work this job anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't even want to go to church anymore. Yeah. It's like that level of exhaustion, right? And it can be really, really hard to deal with that.
Yeah, and a lot of people go through it, but the more you grow in life, the more responsibilities you have on your head. It's kind of like you're stuck in that state where you have to keep doing those things to, survive, right? Yeah. Even though you're burned out. And when you are in that position in your life where a lot of people are depending on you, you cannot just give up. You have to keep going even though you're burnt out. You cannot do it anymore. That's like, a lot of people go through it, but they don't really speak up about it.
Yeah. Speaking up about it, actually, let me ask you this: you're one of the most like chill, laid back people I know, right?
Me?
Yeah.
He was shocked.
He's like, me? Really? Yeah, if only you knew what happened in his head. You know? But like, when was the last time you experienced anything like that?
I mean, yeah, bro, I have experienced it, like, especially like in college, you know, like I was a CS major, bro. I experienced it for sure.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was usually like a day before exams or, you know, a day before a big assignment due or something.
You're just cramming,
Yeah. It's
getting everything in.
getting that 12 deadline in, you know, and especially when your code doesn't run and it's about to be, you know, due in 30 minutes and ChatGPT doesn't work anymore. You've exceeded your daily limit in ChatGPT, bro. The stress is real, bro.
When you can't afford the premium version.
I mean, we did have the premium version, but it's all for the jokes. I did it all by myself. Yeah.
No, he's not. No, he did
No,
not.
no. Jaren is a very accomplished guy.
Yeah.
He's very strong.
He's very talented in what he does.
yeah.
Thank you.
Ignition.
No, but yeah, the stress is there, you know, like, you know, you got to manage what you can deal with, what you cannot. A lot of people like mistake how much they can deal with in their life, and they just keep on piling stuff on their plate, and they end up being burnt out because of that.
Like saying yes to everything.
Saying yes to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is I'm opening this to anybody. Anybody can answer this. What would you say to the people that are dealing with this situation with burnout? How would you explain to them, like, how can they get out of that situation? How can they feel better about themselves?
You know, that's a tough question, because I feel like there's two major types of burnout, right? Like there's all these categories, right, which, you know, we'll talk about in a little bit, but the overarching, I feel like, umbrella of burnout, and obviously I'm not some sort of psychologist or anybody who's qualified to talk about it. This is just what I know from experience.
So put the mic down, bro.
Right. I'll walk out right now. But like, just from like experiences, meaning like things that I've experienced, and also, you know, seen my friends, family members, coworkers go through. The two market types of burnout that I see is burnout, with just alone in and of itself, and then burnout with depression. And I feel like those two things are really, really, they're a little bit different on how people come out of them. Because if somebody's just going through burnout alone, right, they are done with this thing, right? Like I was just talking about, it's that exhaustion to the point that you don't even want to do it anymore, whether it's, you know, school or work or anything like that. But then burnout with depression, you know, if you have that sort of, whether it's, you know, chronic or it's a depressive episode or whatever it might be, you know, you get to this burnout. I don't even want to do this anymore. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to work anymore. And then you start questioning, you know, if I don't want to do these things anymore, if I don't do these things anymore, where's my worth as a person? Where's the worth of my life, et cetera, et cetera. And you start going down this rabbit hole, right? Where that's not necessarily always present when you see people with, you know, this usual quote unquote run of the mill type of burnout. Not saying that it can't happen, you know, where this normal burnout without any, you know, depression or anything tied to it eventually folds over itself and morphs into this thing where now you're, you know, within a depressive episode. I'm not saying that can't happen, because it absolutely can, and I've seen it happen to so many people. But I feel like when you're advising somebody who's in burnout, you know, or trying to talk to them about it, it's really important to kind of, you know, see where they're at, whether there is depression involved in it or not, because you need to know the root problem if you're going to try to help somebody like that. You know, is the root problem that you're exhausted with this thing, with doing this thing over and over again, or is the root problem that you're exhausted with life? Because you have to, you know, approach those two things carefully, you know, with grace, and very, very, you have to be very, very diligent in the way that you approach and continue conversations with these people.
I feel like, how would you describe that distinction, right? Exhausted with life, whereas exhausted with work. like your responsibilities? Like how would you differentiate those two things?
Like we'll take this, right? We were just talking about finals, right? Burnout from school. You guys have all, well, actually, let me pose that question. Have you guys all been in that area where you're just like, I just don't want to do school anymore, man? Maybe it's the end of the semester. Maybe it's the middle of the semester. You know, maybe it's the beginning. Maybe you just got your, your courses and everything, and you filled out the schedule that you made, and now you're looking at it like, oh Lord, like what did I do to myself? Whatever it might be, if you have that type of thing, you might have a solution. And your solution is what? Do something else. Stop doing this thing, right? A lot of people who have burnout and they have depression, they don't even attempt to find a solution. A lot of people with depression, one of the main characteristics, is they kind of mellow in it, right? And they think about the condition a lot, and that's the same when you look at depression across the board. Now, if you go back to burnout with depression, they look at this problem, right? I don't want to do this thing anymore. I don't even want to do school anymore. What's the point of all this? I don't even want to do this anymore, man. But then they don't even look for a solution. At least that's what I've seen with people. Again, I'm not some sort of licensed psychologist or anybody who is, like clinically or, approved by a board to be able to be talking about any of this stuff. But this is just what I've seen. A lot of people with depression, regardless of what their issue is, even in the cases of burnout, they won't even attempt to look for a solution. They'll just kind of coast.
Yeah, I feel like community plays a huge role in that too.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're surrounded by your church, your friends, your family, I feel like that would make it so much better, right? You can talk to them about something, your exhaustion, the things that you're going through. I feel like for me that really helps, having someone there, like especially you guys. Like I talk to you guys about like all the stuff that I'm going through, and it helps getting it off my chest. So having that community definitely goes a long way.
Yeah, especially in Bible, it says that we Christians are like a body of Christ, and being a body of Christ would mean like if one part of your body is hurt, all part of the other part of the body is helping that part to get back up, right? It's hurting with it, it's feeling its pain, and that's what God wants us to do, right? So if we are calling ourselves Christian, we're supposed to be like a body of Christ who is helping each other, feeling each other's pain, and bringing each other up in that sense.
Yeah.
Right. And there's also those verses, right, in Hebrews 10:24-25, which says that, and let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together, as in the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near. Basically says that we as a community, right, a Christian community, we need to be strong. We need to be meeting each other, not neglecting each other, and being strong, like tight-knit as a community, helping each other out. That's basically what it says.
Yeah, I feel like that's the foundation of love, right? The love that God showed upon us, we have to show to other people.
Yeah.
And part of that is checking up on other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even Joel called me last night, literally midnight. He was making sure I was okay, and he was like texting me. He was like, "Yo, bro, I just want to make sure you're okay. Like, are you cool?" And like, so yeah, things like that like goes to show like your love for me, and goes to show how God is working through you, right? His love for you that you have, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
No, but that's so true. Having that community, especially if you're somebody that's going through burnout, being able to turn to that community. We call ourselves brothers and sisters in Christ, right? And what kind of family is it if you can't find refuge in each other, right? So being able to turn to that community is it's really, really important. But it's not just about turning to that community, but you keep doing the same thing that you're doing. Sometimes part of the solution is taking that little bit of rest, right? It's not always possible, but when it is, you should always be doing that, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like, especially in today's society is so much like it's so go, especially like up here, like in the northern United States, it's very much the culture. It's just go, get out of my way. I have someplace to be, et cetera, et cetera. Where that's not necessarily the case, you know, down south or in, you know, even other parts of the world. Like we're all familiar with India. I feel like India, you go to southern India, that is not the case. You know, it's not always go. They take their time with things. If you go to the southern United States, they generally, with most things, they'll take their time a little bit more. And they'll do things a little bit more deliberately. Whereas up here, we're kind of like a bunch of little hamsters running around. And rest gets overlooked. But I feel like that is so important to be able to take that day of rest.
You're actually right about that, bro. Like, you know, I lived in India, and, you know, life here is so fast, bro. Like, you are always doing something. It's so easy to be pulled into so many different things, man. Like in India, it's so chill, right? You lay back, you don't work for a month or two, it's fine. You know, you'll survive.
a month,
bro.
crazy.
Bro, if you don't work here for a week, bro, those bills are gonna catch
They're
up
gonna
to
stack
you,
up.
man. It's gonna catch up.
ChatGPT bills, bro. $200
$20 a month, bro. It's not gonna pay itself, man. but what I was getting at, right? Life is getting busy, right? Especially where you're living right now in America, it's so busy. You can get pulled into so many things, right? You have like 10, 20 responsibilities you gotta take care of, chores to finish, like, you know, you gotta take care of people, all that stuff, bro. You gotta take care of yourself, right? You forget about that. You always put yourself at the end in all this rush, right? But biggest thing that God said, bro, is taking a rest, taking care of your body. And I don't want to like go that too far out, but I did have a story about, you know, a prophet, a man of God named Elijah, and I did want to bring him up in this the topic of being burnt out. So he, you know, I just want to give like a brief explanation of what Elijah, you know, a basic resume of all the amazing things he did, you know, just like an idea to show you how courageous he was, right? He was a prophet. He did many miracles, right? He confronted the evil king Ahab back then, who was promoting false, like praying to false gods. And he confronted him, said that there will be drought in his country. And there was actually drought. He raised a kid back from the dead, like brought him back to life. You know, he prayed to God and brought down fire from the heavens. Like, he slaughtered 850 false prophets in the kingdom of Ahab. So he did all those amazing, courageous feats. Can you imagine how much trust he would have in God and the calling that he had from God to be able to do all those miracles, right? That guy was called to do all of these things, and trust he had in God was insane. You could never imagine a guy like that being burnt out. But, you know, things that when he killed 850 false prophets, right? He was threatened by King Ahab's wife, Jezebel.
Yeah.
And she said that, I'm going to kill you. And that one threat was enough to shake him to his core,
Did
bro.
she say it just like that?
No, I mean,
She said just like that?
you want me to read the verse? I can read the verses, bro.
Yeah.
All right. So it's on 1 King 19 verses 2. So it says that then King Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah saying that so may the gods do to me and more also, if I do not make your life as the life of the one of them by this time tomorrow. Basically mean that she just said that I'm gonna kill you tomorrow, right? So yeah, I mean, when she did this, right, you would expect a strong man of God who's so centered in his faith to, you know, be like, okay, God's gonna protect me, because God did protect him and did miracles through him, right, all his life. And now a small threat like that, it shouldn't be a worry, right? But in fact, you know what he did in the next line? It says, then he was afraid. And he arose and ran for his life and came to Beersheba, which belongs to Judah, and left his servant there, right? I mean, that guy literally ran for his life and went to Beersheba, which is more than 100 miles away. Yeah, he ran 4 marathons, bro, because he was scared. Yeah. I mean, is that 4 marathons? I mean, I'm not checking, bro.
A little bit less.
Yeah. But, you know, it shows that he was not centered in his faith anymore. Like, he had fear that was taking over. It was clouding his judgment, right? And that's kind of coming from a perspective of being burnt out, right? But in the next line he says, "But he himself went a day's journey to the wilderness, came and sat down under a broom tree, and asked that he might die, saying, 'It is enough now, O Lord, take my life, for I'm no better than my father's.'" And so he literally is asking God to end his life, which is, insane to think about. Like, this strong, courageous man who did all these stuff, all these miracles, he's asking God to end his life from a threat, right? And that is coming from the idea of not because he was scared, not because that threat was, worse than anything he faced in his life, but because it was just one more thing in his plate, right? There's always a stuff in your life when, you keep stacking up those stresses. You keep it behind in your mind. Like, you don't think about it, but it keeps piling on. And there's always that one extra thing that just crumbles your whole perspective of life, right? It clouds your judgment. And that's what happened here, right? He was, took over by that fear, right? And he was asking God to just end his life. So, I mean, this is like a prime example of being burnt out in Bible. And what's interesting was that when God responded to this, he, do you want me to read the verses? Do you want me to read the verses?
No,
Yeah. So, so God sent, he was sitting under a tree, right? And God sent an angel and basically said that, go eat. And there was a cake and a jar of water. There was a cake and a jar of water next to him. And God sent an angel and said, go eat. So he ate and he took a nap. And then he woke up. God said, eat again. He ate and took a nap. And again. And again. So what does God is trying to tell him, right? To take care of your body. To rest.
Start bulking.
Yeah, stop. Stop bulking.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. Elijah's cup was probably crazy after all the cake.
That 4 marathons.
After all that cake.
Nah, but yeah, that was the whole idea that God told him, right? Take care of your body, man. Like, you got to take care of yourself. And what is the 4th commandment, right? What is the 4th commandment?
Sabbath,
right? To keep it holy, right? That basically says that you got to take care of your body. You got to give one day for rest for yourself and to remember God and thank him for all he did in your life. To remember that one day in your life, on your week. Keep it holy.
Yeah, I mean, even God rested on the 7th day.
Yeah, exactly.
Even, like back in creation, he rested. He took that 7th day to rest.
And that was to set an example to everyone, right? He rested because he wanted to set an example that you got to take care of your body. And that's like the biggest thing you can do for your body, right? You got to rest. It might be sleep for some people. It might be taking a nap would be something that people would actually need in their life. Or it could be, taking a walk in the park, reading a book, right? Playing some games, hanging out with your friends. It's a different kind of rest for different people. Like, depends on what you actually need in your life. That's, you got to do that for your body.
Are you a big reader, Jaren?
Yeah, man. Big reader, man.
Yeah, big reader. Big reader.
He has not picked up a book in the United States of America.
How long you been back here?
I mean, everything's digital now,
Long
bro.
enough. Everything's digital. It's crazy.
Say that to me in a YouTube video, bro.
Make a PowerPoint presentation, bro. He'll read it. He'll read it.
I'll put it on YouTube Reels, IG Reels.
IG Reels. A Subway Surfer at the bottom.
No, but when was the last guy like? When was the last time you guys actually took a day to just chill and rest? And I don't mean like 2 hours. Oh, I went to the park, or I went to the gym for a little bit. Like, actually take the day and just chill and just rest.
I feel like I can't do that, bro. Like, I feel like I can't go an entire day not doing anything because then I just feel too lazy and unproductive. Like, I feel like I need to do at least one thing just to get by, bro. Like, I can't just sit around doing nothing all day because then I feel so weak and.
Is it a guilt thing?
I don't.
It's kind of, it makes you guilty.
I mean, no, bro. The rest is not just like, not doing anything. Resting your mind is different, and resting your body is different. Resting your mind is like detaching your physical body from all that stress, and resting your mind is detaching your mind from all that stress that you went through in the week. So whether detaching your mind is like maybe doing some physical activity, right? Going to the gym, you're detaching your mind from all that stress. You're resting your mind, right? Or, maybe you're taking a nap, then you're resting your body. So it's different between, what kind of rest you want. Depends on what your body wants.
I will say this though, a lot of people, and I've especially seen this, with a lot of my coworkers, a lot of people, they feel like if they're not productive, quote unquote, throughout the day, if they have one unproductive day, that day is a waste. They feel lazy. They feel that day is a waste, and the day's been ruined, right? All that time I just wasted. But it's like, why is that? Why do we always feel like we always have to be productive all the time, every single waking hour of the day? It's because so much of society now places your worth on what can you do, like what can you do for other people? How much work can you do? What can you do to make other people's lives easier, right? So society is so much based on what are the tangible products of what you can do with your time. That is how society measures your worth. And when you don't do anything, when you don't, at the end of the day, you have nothing tangible, right? You haven't crossed anything off that to-do list for the month. It's just you makes you feel like you are useless. And people might not parade around thinking, "Oh, I'm worthless." But after years and years of that, it becomes, ingrained in them. So they might not be depressed after a day, they just kind of spent not really doing much or spent unproductively. They're not depressed or anything, but they feel lazy. And that's why I asked her, like, do you feel guilty about it? Because so many people do. And it's just a byproduct of how society is built now around, everything but God.
I wouldn't agree to one thing that you said, bro.
What's that?
You said that, society is built around what you can do for other people. But I would say that society is built around your performance, right? It's so focused on how much have you accomplished today.
That's a much better way of saying it.
Yeah. It's not like, it doesn't matter what other people, how much you did for other people. It's like how much you accomplished today. And, we are built around that idea. Okay, today I accomplished this. But if you didn't accomplish that, what did you do today? Mm-hmm. So you feel that sense of, failure, like you were a failure today,
Yeah.
And that's like, even in our work, our whole worth is our performance. If we give good performance, you're going to get raises, you're going to get a pat on the back or something. No, it's cool, performance, get good grades, you get to the next, level.
Yeah.
So that's a whole performance basis life that you live. And if you have a rest day and you didn't perform well, on a rest day, crazy statement though.
Performance is a much better way of looking at it. Yeah, absolutely. Like at the end of the day, you got to have that tangible thing.
Yeah.
What did I do today? I have to be able to hold it in my hand or look at it in numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the results looking like?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And if there's nothing there, I was useless today.
Yeah, bro. Best example, bro. If you have like a long break, right? Did you just stay at home or did you go on a vacation? Did you do something with your, friends? You catch up, when golfing or, whatever people do. Right? Mm-hmm. Or golfing was a random thing. But
have you ever gone golfing?
No. I mean, top golf. If you can't,
there's no way.
Crazy.
I don't know why it just came to my mind, bro.
Top golf does not count. Just taking a driver and slamming the ball as hard as you can does not count as golf.
Same
Mini
thing.
golf also does not count.
I was gonna say that next.
I know. I saw it in your eyes.
But yeah, whatever, man. Like, you gotta do something in that rest day, that one break that you got, bro. Like, cause you gotta make it worth it now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I mean, you shared that story of Elijah, right? And then Joel, you mentioned creation. Right? Even God rested. But God rested in the New Testament too, right? And when we look at God in the New Testament, we're talking about the Son, Jesus Christ. Right, when we look at the passage here in Mark 6, when they go out and they feed the 5,000, right? What they had done previously was the disciples had each set out and they had done some teaching on their own, and then they came back and they met up. So when we look at Mark 6, I've got it pulled up here. Mark 6:31. This is or actually we'll back it up to 30. It says, the apostles gathered around Jesus and reported to him all they had done and taught. 31 says, then, because so many people were coming and going that they did not even have a chance to eat, he said to them, come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest. So he even instructed his disciples, the people that were following him, right? His you can think of them as his inner circle, right? Because he had friends outside of them, but they were his disciple, his posse, his chosen family for 3 years as he was conducting his ministry, right? So even with them, he instructed them, okay, you guys, clearly you guys have been working, you haven't had a chance to stop, get some rest, eat, come with me, let's remove ourselves from what we've been doing. Let's go somewhere else, let's change our environment, and then get some rest and eat. And it's kind of ironic because they went to do that, and then a bunch of people saw them leaving and followed them, and then that's how the 5,000 ended up accumulating, and they had to feed all of them. But the intent there, and I'm sure they did get a chance to eat there. I'm sure Jesus made sure of that. But the intent there was to kind of remove themselves and take time. And I feel like that's a really big step in reducing burnout. And it comes with taking rest, but it's, even if you're not taking that rest and you still got to keep going for whatever it is, maybe it's like your kids are relying on you or whatever it might be. If for whatever reason you got to keep going, let's try to give a change of pace somewhere, right? I feel like a change of pace in your environment is one of the best things. If you're in school, go study. Maybe don't study in your room if you've been studying in your room all semester. Maybe go to the library or go to a coffee shop or go somewhere else. Change your environment, right? If you work from home, maybe work out of a different room in your house, right? Maybe don't take the entire office setup. Maybe go to another quiet room in your house. Maybe go, even outside if it's on the back patio and it's nice out. Just change your environment a little. That way, it reduces that mindset of same thing every day that piles up and leads to burnout.
Yeah. Like if you were to always do work in a certain room, then you're associating that room with the burnout. You're associating that room with, now I need to do all this work and whatever. But if you're switching your environment, then now all of a sudden it's not like that, because now you're able to be surrounded by something new each time, so.
Like when you're studying, where do you sit usually?
I usually study either at the library or in my room.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, I prefer my room more than the library, which may be an unpopular take, but I just prefer that more just because I don't like to be surrounded by a bunch of people when I'm trying to do my work. Mm-hmm. Like I like to just be relaxed, like on my desk and just like be by myself and just more focused. Like I don't have to like look around and like possibly it's like see a distraction or something like that. Like I can just focus in. So.
And I mean, what you said about associating that place where you do work with work, that's so true. I know I have I have an uncle who he has a pretty high stress job. He works in software. And he's fortunate enough that he was able to make himself a home office, and it's pretty expansive, but his bedroom also has kind of a lot of empty space over in the corner where you could easily fit a desk and a computer and like have some writing space and stuff like that. So I remember I asked him, I was like, what's the point of the whole home office if you have all the space in your bedroom? Is it just because you can? And he goes, no, it's because the bedroom, that's a place to go rest, right? Because if you go to the bedroom and you work, that's fine. But then you associate this high stress environment with this room, and then at the end of the day, you go back into this room, you go back into this high stress environment, and you go to bed, and then you wake up and you're immediately in this room that represents this high stress environment, and it just never ends. Regardless of how much work you're actually doing during the day, it's that proximity to the things that increase your stress.
No, he's so right about that though, because I have a whole office setup in my bedroom. Like it's right next to my bed. I wake up 8:45, hop in the meeting right away, and then
Wake up at 8:40. Hop in the meeting 8:45.
No, I mean meeting is at 9, but I wake up at 8:45. Yeah, you gotta have 15 minutes before you start, and
So I was basically right. You just add extra 10 minutes.
I mean, yeah, you sit there for like 8 hours, and then you get up, you go to the gym, come back, you sitting on your desk.
So do you like take intermittent breaks where you like stand up and?
Yeah, to get some food. Yeah.
Just like to survive. Yeah.
Survive.
I
Basic
guess.
necessities.
God told me to go eat and take a nap, so I'm gonna go.
What was it you wanted to say?
Yeah, but so basically, like Charlie, when you were saying about adding things that causes you stress, I feel like there was a season in my life that that occurred, right? So I was in college, and I had to pay for tuition somehow. So I was working like specifically in the wedding industry doing videography, and so the wedding industry is always on the weekends, right? So you have your Saturdays all your Saturdays are gone, like specifically in the summer, because weddings are in the summer, right? Like that's the season. Fridays are like spent prepping for that, and then you have editing on top of that. So it's just like a lot of things going on, right? With school, your work, your family, and then your relationship with Christ. And the thing that I struggled with was setting my priorities and setting healthy boundaries, right? And I would just say yes to everything and not think about, oh wait, how is my relationship with God? How is my relationship with my parents, my family? Because there was moments where like I literally didn't talk to my parents for a whole day because I was working. No joke. I was literally like, I would come back from school, go to the gym, come back from the gym, and then I would literally grind from like probably like 8 p.m. all the way to like 4 a.m. in the morning, just editing, just because I needed to, bro. So yeah, that was like a season of my life where I was just like hustling, the hustle mentality, and just like letting go of everything else, which I later realized was such a bad idea, because if you think about it, I'm idolizing all these things, right? It's an idolization where you're putting work before anything else, and it led to a point where I was so burnt out. I was burned out with everything that was going on. I just couldn't take it anymore, to be honest, and that's where like I had to really like step back and think about like what's the point of why am I doing all of this? Like, is it like it's, how you guys were talking about like, you have to do it because people are relying on you. Mm-hmm. I didn't have it like that. I don't have people like really like I don't have a family that I have to like take care of like that. Like I don't have any kids, like stuff like that. So I was just doing it just to like, it was for the bad intentions. You guys were talking about like parents like having responsibilities and like they had things that they had to do because they had to feed their family, right? They had to feed their family. Like for me, I don't have to do that, bro. Like my parents, they were fine. Like I don't have any bills to pay off, right? So none of that. So yeah, I had none of that. Like, so my true intentions were like, how much money can I make? And like, how much work can I get done? And this goes back to the whole performance thing that you guys were talking about. Like, what's the result at the end of the day? How many videos can I produce? How many weddings can I attend? How are the clients like? I mean, don't get me wrong, those are all good, but there has to be a healthy balance with it. Like how I said earlier, healthy boundaries. And yeah, when you just like pile all of that, everything else goes down the drain. Your relationships go, even relationship with clients, like it all adds in together, right? It's a whole funnel. And so that's why I truly believe that it's important to keep that relationship with Christ. And it's like, we talked about this earlier, seek first the kingdom of God and everything will be added unto you. And not only that, we talked about cast all your anxiety on him. So just those two Bible verses, man, like just thinking about it and taking a step back, resting, man, plays a huge role in that. So I'm glad I'm out of that phase, but I can sense myself slowly going back into it. So I'm glad that this is a great reminder for that, this message today.
Yeah.
So how do you think that, how did you come to that realization that this is going off the wrong track? Like this is not what God's calling you to do? And when did you realize that?
Yeah. So there was a buddy, like I have a friend of mine, and he questions me all the time. He's like, man, like, why do you do this? Why do you do that? And like, what's your true intent behind it? And it's like how I previously said, community is so important because it played a huge role in my life. Because if it wasn't for him, I don't think like I would be like honestly here right now, like in this place with you guys, because he would question me like, what's your true intent? Are you trying to get it for status, for money, for trying to impress other people? Like, why you're doing it. And so that's where I really stepped back, and then I questioned myself, like, why am I doing this? And like, honestly, I just did it to like just to do it. It was just muscle memory at that point, because after a while you're just like, okay, I have to do this, I have to do that. It's like you have to get it done, but it's like that rush that you feel that you have to get done, but it's so brain, like it just fogs you up so much.
Yeah.
But the realization came from him. He kept questioning me, like, dude, what's your intent behind it, right? And it's important to have like everything of something too much is always a bad thing, right? You don't want to have how do you phrase that? Too much of one thing.
There can't be too much of a good thing.
Yeah, there can be too much of a good thing, because that's too much, right? Like you have to have a healthy boundary with everything. Like if you say, for example, going to the gym, don't go to the gym like so much, because at the end of the day, your body is important, but it also says in the Bible that your relationship with Christ is important, right? You don't want to like emphasize your body, like your physique. Oh, like look at me, like I got like body's important, but you don't want to like focus on that. It's that one thing. At the same time, you don't want to focus too much on your studies, because you still have a relationship with Christ. You got to do like it goes back to the relationship with Christ at the end of the day. So, yeah.
Now, can I ask you 2 questions?
Yeah, for sure.
These aren't got you questions, right?
Okay.
Now, if you think back to that time and your headspace when you were like rushing those weddings like every week, every weekend, you were going to school Monday through Friday, right? If somebody had asked you, like, hey, Lambert, do you think that your work, and this type of aggressive schedule is getting in between you and your relationship with Christ, would you have said yes and acknowledged it right away, or no? Would you have been like, no, I'm fine, I'm chilling, I can manage it?
Definitely say no, man. I would say no, like it's fine, I can manage it.
Right.
Yeah, because in the moment you're like, you don't think about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's only when you go back home and you're like, oh wow, like that question really hit,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what is it. It sucks, because so many people, that message of, your relationship with Christ is important, right? So many people are like, yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
But then it takes something like that, right, where they are slipping and they're losing grip on that relationship with Christ, but it also it doesn't affect the rest of their life. So they just kind of keep on trucking along. And then when it eventually starts affecting the rest of their life, it starts affecting their studies, their home life, their relationship with their friends and everything. If they don't have a friend like you had, or a community like you had to kind of pull them out of it, they're just going to keep going until they hit rock bottom. And then maybe they might realize, oh dang, that's where it all went wrong. That's when it all started going downhill. Is when I started, when I flipped my priorities, upside down, and put Christ at any position other than number one. That's when it started going wrong. So I'm glad that you had that guy to kind of help you out there, though. Help you get your wits about you, figure out what was important. That's good.
Wait, were you receptive to his feedback at first, or were you kind of pushing back?
I was receptive, because like at the end of the day, he's so much older than me, so he knew a lot more. He's been in the same position as I was, because we were in the same industry, right? So, yeah, I understood. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. I feel like it's kind of like the same thing as you, but kind of different. Like I didn't really have like I had like an older adult that I look up to, and he was my worship leader at church, and he definitely played like a big role in mentoring me, and he kind of like he explained to me like the the ins and outs of being on the worship team and like, all of the effort required to do that, and also all the behind the scenes things, like at that time, I wasn't like anything like that. So I was just on the team, like I was, playing drums, but he would explain to me like, cause he was worship leader, he would explain to me like all the responsibilities that come with it and stuff like that. And now when I'm like kind of in that position now, like trying to deal with it, I truly like understand, the position that he was in at that time. And I feel like that's something that I didn't understand when I was younger, because I only looked at it from my standpoint, like my viewpoint, from my perspective. And I didn't look at it from his perspective. So now that I'm kind of walking in his shoes, I understand like the burnout, that comes with it. Because
Can you explain more about that, bro? Like what specifically is the burnout?
yeah, because it's like a lot of it's like, okay, like you're managing a team, right? But it's more than just managing, right? You have to truly build a relationship with everybody and truly love them, really have that compassion, that love. Because yeah, like, you can have a good team, like you can have people that are good at their instrument, and train them on that. But there's so much more. It's so much more than that, because at the end of the day, like, worship team, the goal of worship team is to lead the congregation in worship, but yeah, so, you can assemble a group of guys that may be amazing at their instrument, but if they don't care about worshiping God, then the Holy Spirit isn't there, And so consistently like having to, show up, in the mornings or maybe throughout the week or, on Sundays, on Saturdays, the preparation, like, doing that every single week and also expecting to perform every single week, right? It's like also like I don't mean it in like a performance aspect where like I'm going on stage, I'm just trying to make a performance, but I mean like not the spiritual side of it, but from like the musical side of it, expecting to deliver, right? Expecting it because listen, at the end of the day, like you can have a really spiritual atmosphere, but you also need to be adequate at what you're doing, right? So the expectance of people being like, okay, like there's a certain standard that you have to reach, right? Otherwise, like people are gonna be like, oh man, like you messed up here or whatever. So there's like that aspect of it where it's like, you have to deliver week in and week out. You have to be on top of everything. Otherwise it's not adequate. It's not good. So it's like you're taking care of so many different things at one time. Like there's so many different things. Like you're dealing with the kids and you're also dealing with like the adults and stuff like that. So it's like so many different parts that go into making one whole thing, So like I can speak for myself. Like I love music and I love worshiping God, So that's why like I love doing what I do. I'm not saying I love doing it, but I can also say like I felt that burnout. I felt burnt out because like the level of what people expect from me every single week and like that burden that I feel like I have to carry, it definitely was taking a toll on me because also like at one point like I had to lead like 3-4 weeks in a row for whatever reason because people couldn't do it. And I just felt so like just burnt out, and then after that, I was able to take some rest, and do what I need to do to renew my mind. And that's something that I've really been like focusing on and it also says in the Bible, you have to renew your mind, strengthen your mind. And I feel like that's something that I've been really focusing on. So then I won't feel that burnout, and also it also goes back to just like understanding what I'm doing and the position I'm in. Like I can't take that for granted, like the fact that I can do what I'm doing, like I can worship God and I have the ability to do so and to lead people, it's definitely important. So yeah.
I feel like a really, a key point of what you said there, because you were talking about like, the standard and what's expected of you, but you said what's expected of you from people every week, right? And it's always I feel like in ministry it's either from yourself or it's from people, right? Maybe it's the people above you in leadership, maybe it's the people you're serving, the congregation, or if you work in a specific ministry for a specific population, like kids ministry, women's ministry, like youth ministry, whatever it might be, expectations from that population that you're supposed to be serving, that community that you're supposed to be serving. But that it will never come from God, right? God is never going to burn you out, right? Because God is where we get our rest. We're taught to kind of, when all that stuff is happening, to kind of retreat, right? Like we were talking about earlier, Jesus took the disciples, right? We're supposed to go to a quiet place with God, right? And be able to seek His face and get that spiritual rest, right? Where things aren't busy. Like, I know it says, really, really famous verse really quick, right? Matthew 11:30 says what? It says, "For my yoke is easy, my burden is light," right? So he will never overburden you with anything to the point of burning you out, especially out of ministry. He'll never burn you out of anything in your life, but especially not ministry. I feel like that's really, really important.
No, but I do agree, like what you're saying though. But do you ever feel like you get that spiritual guilt, like not being, not living up to God's expectation, right? Like you're not doing enough for the ministry, or you're lacking behind. So do you ever feel like that spiritual guilt of not doing enough for God's ministry, like not living up to God's expectation? Do you ever feel like that?
I've been involved in ministry since I was a kid, since I was 10 years old. So I never felt like I wasn't living up to God's expectation because I have been serving. But the thing is, a lot of the time I was serving, I wasn't serving for the right reasons. Like I mentioned this before on other podcasts. Like I was just doing it more so just to like play well, right? Like to play drums well, to build chemistry with the guys, like that type of thing. Only after like a certain point did I truly like do this for God, to with the purpose and the intent to serve other people. Because ministry is all about being a servant, right? It is all about serving other people, right? So, yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like I wasn't like living up to God's expectations, but the thing is, like, I've been doing this for so long that I wouldn't say like I get burnt out by it. Like I experienced that one time, but then after that, like especially after that, I realized like this isn't something I can actually get burnt out by because of the fact that I'm not doing this for me. I'm not doing this with the intent of like, okay, like I'm going to play well, or like, okay, like I have to live up to some uncle or auntie's expectations of what they think that I should be or what they think that I should play. If I mess up, like this is like a mindset that I adopted. Like if I mess up here or there or wherever, God does not care. Like he doesn't care about that. He cares about your heart posture. He cares about like what is going on on your inside, right? That's what matters to him, right? So he doesn't care if you sing off key a little bit. He doesn't care, if you play the wrong note or you hit the wrong string. He doesn't care about any of that stuff. So I feel like once I truly understood that, like I was able to serve with just the purpose of serving others and worshiping God. So.
It said in the Bible, right? There's fruits of the Holy Spirit. So if you have Holy Spirit in your life, you'll get these few things in your life. And those are love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Mm-hmm. So peace is one of them. So if you seek first the kingdom of heaven, you will have Holy Spirit in your life and you will have peace in your life. And with that, we want to end our today's episode about being burnt out. I hope, helped someone out there, who's going through this stuff.
I mean, we're still growing, we're still learning, we're still trying to improve ourselves, get better, and grow alongside you guys. So
yeah. And if you do feel like you're burnt out, I do want to throw this out there. You can always, DM one of us, DM the podcast account, with whatever it is that you need to talk about or want to talk about. If you DM the podcast account, one of us will probably reply through that or defer you to one of our personal accounts so we can actually, you know, have a private conversation with you. But always feel free to reach out if you ever need anything like that.
Yeah. With that, thank you for watching.
It's a wrap. Thank you guys.